Today, I think I'm finally not ill, so I'm hoping to not start coughing halfway through this. You guys have been through this whole journey with me and I love that. Today we have a slightly different topic. We have a mum influencer who finally got arrested, and you're probably wondering why, and I'm here to tell you. So subscribe to the bell icon for engagement. Let's get into it. I'm gonna read a Business Insider article because I think they explained it pretty well. Are they called Business Insider anymore, or is it just Insider? I think it's just called Insider now. So this is an update from recently, a few weeks ago. A mum influencer with QAnon leanings was convicted of lying about an attempted kidnapping of her kids. So she posted a TikTok that I'm assuming has been taken down now, but I'll try and find it.
Monday of this week, my children were the targets of attempted kidnap, which is such a weird thing to even vocalize, but it happened, and I want to share that story with you in an effort to raise awareness as to what signs to look for, and to just encourage parents to be more aware of their surroundings and what is going on around them. I think right now we are so distracted by everything that's going on in the world that we are kind of have our guards up so much about masks and wanting to keep our children safe that way, that we're forgetting the most important way to keep them safe, and that is with us, and to not have them taken. So I'm going to share a story in an effort to raise that awareness, but I'm not ready. This is hard for me. I'm not ready to share this story, but I know it's important, and I would rather be uncomfortable and awkward and get the message out sooner than wait until I feel composed, because I don't know if I'll ever be composed talking about this. So here we go. On Monday, like I said, my children were the targets of attempted kidnap. We went to Michael's craft store just to run a few errands, get some things to make some homemade gifts. Very quick trip. I have not taken my children out a lot as of late, but this was just a situation where we just needed to run this errand, and I thought I came prepared. I brought the double stroller, thinking I'd just throw them in, cover them up, put the cover on top, and just walk through the store quickly, grab our stuff, and go. I only had 2 items I needed to grab, and then I did a Target pickup, so that was the only time we were getting out of the car. So we get to Michael's. I park as far away as possible, in an effort to not inconvenience others with our big stroller. That was always my go-to. Whenever I brought the double stroller, I'd park far away so that people wouldn't be frustrated with me taking forever getting the stroller in and out. That is the first thing that from this day forward I will be doing differently, if I ever choose to bring my kids out again.
She basically describes a situation where she felt like her kids were going to get kidnapped, abducted, but she specified that the people that were going to kidnap her kids looked Latino, which is a very interesting thing to specify in this situation. She also multiple times repeated the whole we weren't wearing masks, and this was in 2020. You guys have to we've been going through this situation for a few years now. She just now got arrested, but she made these allegations in 2020. She's saying, oh, my kids aren't wearing masks. I bet it was because my kids were not wearing, constantly. That's why they're saying these QAnon leanings, because she's doing a lot of conspiracy here. She's doing a lot of typical Facebook mom stuff. Mom-fluencer Katie Sorensen was convicted of falsely reporting a crime. Sorensen went viral in December 2020 for claiming a couple tried to kidnap her children. Later, Sorensen identified a couple shopping for Christmas decorations as the perpetrators, but her story was false. I don't know how you make these accusations and don't think that there's CCTV absolutely everywhere. We're literally being tracked at all times. You're QAnon, you should know this. Come on now. If you're in a supermarket and you're saying, hey, these people tried to kidnap my kids, do you think that no one is going to check the CCTV footage? That's what I want to know. Katie Sorensen, a 31-year-old mom influencer, was convicted on 1 count of making a false report of a crime after she claimed a couple tried to kidnap her children at a Michael's store in Petaluma, California. American names of places, I can never pronounce stuff. It's always so interesting, and I always feel like I said it right, I said it how I think it should be pronounced, and then someone's like, it's actually complete opposite. I learn something new every day. On December 7th, Sorensen took her kids to Michael's, made a purchase, got into a car with her children, and left the parking lot, according to the Sonoma County District Attorney's press release. Shortly after, she called and reported to the Petaluma Police Department that a couple had tried to kidnap her kids. A week later, she posted a video to Instagram, which subsequently went viral, discussing the attempted kidnapping in an effort to raise awareness, and gave viewers more detail than she'd originally given to police, according to the press release. That's also one red flag, is when someone puts more effort into bringing awareness on social media rather than in person to law enforcement or lawyers. I think there's some situations where that makes sense. Like if you've already exhausted all your options with law enforcement and they're just not taking it seriously, then go full force on social media, bring awareness. But in this case, she made one phone call to the police, gave them a rough, like, my kids almost got kidnapped, this is what the perpetrators looked like. But she went on social media and said what they were doing 2 minutes before, 2 minutes after, yesterday, what they had for dinner the next day, what they had for dinner the week after. Too much detail. And I also think that's another telltale sign of someone lying, is when they just give too many details. She was just saying so much. Sorensen's Instagram account is currently private, but snippets of the video have been reposted across social media. Sorensen also appeared on local news, reiterating the false claim that a couple tried to abduct her children, describing the perpetrators as not necessarily clean cut. That was another thing. It was like typical, stereotypical, stereotypical. You know, she emphasized that they were Latino and then tried to emphasize that they weren't like clean cut. They looked like someone that would kidnap someone. It was wild. For the local news, I found the video on Twitter. It was actually on Fox News, which is also a not to make things political, but I'll play some of that for you guys.
My children were the targets of attempted kidnap.
That's Katie Sorensen sounding a startling warning on Instagram about strangers trying to grab her kids. Sorensen says it happened December 7th at this Michael store in Petaluma as she was shopping with her 4-year-old son and 1-year-old daughter. She says a man and a woman followed them in the store. The same man had looked at her in the parking lot. She then heard them describing what her kids looked like, possibly to a third person on the phone.
I heard them talking about the features of my children, but I was totally paralyzed with fear. I just couldn't bring myself to say anything.
They waited in line behind her, but then followed her into the parking lot after not buying anything. That's when she noticed a white van had parked right next to her SUV. She thought that was strange because she usually parks far from a store entrance, not wanting to inconvenience people over the time it takes to load or unload her stroller. She says the man and woman took 2 steps forward, then 2 steps back.
2 steps back, very awkward. There is no other explanation as to why they were doing that besides they were just building up the courage.
Then the man reached out, asked her to grab the stroller, but Sorensen saw an older man nearby.
The gentleman looked at me and his eyes were huge. He saw what was going on and I just yelled for help.
The man and woman took off in a car, but that's when another man rushed up to her from behind after apparently getting out of the white van.
And he kind of acted like he was trying to help me and then just got in the van and drove off.
Sorensen wishes she had been more assertive.
I saw these people. They didn't look necessarily clean cut. I felt uncomfortable around them, and instead of making them uncomfortable with my discomfort, I chose to remain in my discomfort.
This mom learned a very important lesson.
Child safety advocate Mark Klass's daughter Polly was kidnapped in Petaluma and killed in 1993.
What she learned was that she does have to trust her feelings, that she does need to be at the ready, and that she does need some kind of a plan of action.
Petaluma police tell me they are investigating, but that so far they have no evidence to arrest anyone for attempted kidnapping. The Michael store had no comment. Henry Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
When police followed up with Sorensen, she identified a local couple from the craft store's footage as the perpetrators. Following an investigation, however, Sorensen was charged with 3 misdemeanor counts of making a false crime report to a police dispatcher, to a police officer, and to a police detective. They really hit that. They're like, how many times did you repeat this fake story? 3? Let's go. During her trial, Sonoma County prosecutors successfully argued that Sorensen's story was false, and the jury returned a guilty verdict. In fact, this went to court. All for a tiny slither, a tiny amount of clout. Just anything for some sympathy, some pity, some clout. Like, you literally went to court. She should have just backed out. Because I bet there was a moment right before they pursued legal charges that they were like, hey, if you want to tell us the truth now is a good time. Now is a really good time to tell us the truth. And that's when she should have backed out. On 1 count of reporting a false crime, she was acquitted on 2 other related charges. The verdict will enable us to hold Ms. Sorensen accountable for her crime, while at the same time helping to exonerate the couple that was falsely accused for having attempted to kidnap 2 young children, for sure. Like, she destroyed her own life, she destroyed her kid's life. She's got a criminal record now. Her kids, their mum is locally known as that crazy woman who, you know, falsely accused someone of kidnap. But then, yeah, the 2 people that she accused, I mean, they were probably, you know, found out by people on the internet because people like to sleuth. I don't know, I think it's just ridiculous. I think it's also important that it illustrates the importance of using social media responsibly. The fact that we're having to tell, like, older millennials to use social media responsibly when, you know, it's always Gen Z that are told, like, you guys use social media wrong, you put everything on the internet, and no. I see the worst, most, like wild stuff being posted on social media by older millennials. It's always like 30 plus, posting everything and anything and always wrong. And they're always the ones warning us about like stranger danger, social media danger, post this, don't do that, you know, and they're always posting the worst shit. So Sadie is the woman who was accused by Sorensen as well as her husband, Eddie, told Elle magazine that she was happy with the verdict and grateful for the support. Vega Martinez said Sorensen had avoided accountability for years and the guilty verdict meant justice was served. In 2020, Vega Martinez explained to the Petaluma Argus Courier that the couple had been at Michael's to purchase Christmas decorations and said she believed the false story was racially motivated. I think we all believe that. Months before Sorensen's false claim, she began posting about anti-trafficking awareness. It always starts with the like anti-trafficking, like, hey guys, be aware, people are getting sex, and like spreading false information. Like I see a lot of people debunking all the like, this is how you get sex trafficked and this is how you avoid it, because a lot of the time that's not how you get sex trafficked and that is not how you avoid it. And it's just a lot of like, I see a lot of misinformation being spread in the like trafficking awareness groups, and I can tell that, you know, she was going down a very specific path of spreading misinformation, and she just needed a personal story to like tear at the heartstrings. She needed a personal story to really, you know, move the point forward. She posted a 20-slide highlight reel to her Instagram, Motherhood Essentials, and a photo to a grid of herself holding what appeared to be a hand-drawn anti-trafficking sign. Elle reported using the hashtag Save the Children, a hashtag associated with the QAnon conspiracy movement. The magazine noted that many overly online mums hopped on the anti-trafficking train around that time, sometimes intentionally or not intentionally, disseminating QAnon conspiracy theories in their posts, leading to misinformation that complicated real-life anti-trafficking work. That is exactly what I'm talking about. All these conspiracy theories about like when Pizzagate happened, the Wayfair stuff, like all of that took attention away from actual trafficking that happens every day, like right now. The verdict of not guilty as to count 1 and 2 rejects the theory that McClain lied to the police on December 7th. Sorensen's defense attorney Charles Dresso said in a statement shared with Insider, the jury reviewed the actual evidence and found it to be very different than how the case has been portrayed outside the courtroom. We are disappointed as to count 3 and will evaluate our options moving forward. So I don't really know what's going on there. But she was remanded into custody and her bail has been set at $100,000. Wow. According to the Sonoma County District Attorney's Office, there's no sentencing date yet, and the maximum sentence is 6 months in jail because it is a misdemeanor. I'm assuming the sentencing is a little bit lower, but the fact that she is having to be in jail right now and her bail is $100K and I don't think anyone's going to pay it is obviously a blow to her ego in itself. You know, this was supposed to be for clout, this was supposed to be for feeling like she's doing something important, like she's tugging at the heartstrings, she's got this like story, this personal little, you know, thing that she's talking about, and in reality she's got nothing but a jail sentence. That's funky. A lot of different publications are talking about this now. CBS News is talking about this. So apparently the videos on the alleged kidnapping attempt were viewed more than 4 million times and gained her tens of thousands of new followers, but then obviously have been deleted since. And yeah, one thing I'm confused about is obviously she wasn't convicted on all 3 counts because of some evidence clashing, but the DA's office did say that the report was determined to be false because it was contradicted by surveillance video from the store, so I'm not sure how she would have not been lying to the police if the surveillance footage shows that she was not going to have her kids be kidnapped. So I don't know. So she's only been convicted of the statements that she made to the detective, but not the police officers when she first called the dispatcher and then the police officer. I mean, it seems that everyone's kind of, you know, saying the same thing, but the court case is done now. It's been basically happening for 3 years, and for 3 years, this couple that was falsely accused was pretty tormented. And one of them actually made a really good point. So Sadie, actually the wife, said, I couldn't believe it. It's like we were literally guilty of being brown while shopping. That was like the whole thing, was just they were not white and shopping in Michael's, and that was the whole thing that ruined their life for 3 years to come, from 2020 to 2023 now. All because they were lingering around her car, probably just trying to get into their own car, because car parks are tight. So everyone's just kind of lingering around everyone else's car. But yeah, it definitely seems racially charged, and also seems, other than racially charged, it also seems like I said, falling headfirst into conspiracy theories, misinformation, and feeling like you need to have a personal story to be able to discuss certain things. And it's like, it's really not the case. You can discuss things without having to go through them yourself. You just have to be informed, and that's it. So let me know what you guys think about this one. It's kind of crazy, and these mum influencers need to be stopped. That's my like big takeaway these days, is like family channels need to be stopped. Mum influencers that post their children, make everything about their kids, need to be stopped. And that's it. Subscribe, hit that bell, like, comment for engagement, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.